In the wrestling world, the people are represented by two separate but unequally important groups. The wrestlers and bookers, who literally do all the hard work, and the fans, who endlessly nitpick and overanalyze everything they do. These are their stories.
Hey! It's Warhorse, and you need to shut your mouth, open your eyes, and clean out your ears, because it's time to listen to the Raw and Order podcast. That's right, they're bringing you the best in all that meaty podcasty goodness in one, what is it, an hour? Two? Who cares? Who gives a shit? You need to listen to it right now, or else Warhorse is gonna, roll your ass!
Welcome to another episode of Raw and Order, the wrestling booking unit, the only wrestling podcast on the planet that schedule is entirely optional. I am host, Detective Mark Smarks, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime fighting, District Attorney Vincent Kayfabe. What's going on, man? How are you?
Listen, we'd have been here last night, but there was the stipulation that we didn't want the creepy witch lady at the ringside.
Yes.
And
yes,
she was here last night, so...
That's the one thing. No creepy witches. I loved it. We could name a stipulation. When was that a thing?
No creepy witches.
That Julia Hart lady, she's creepy, so that's our stipulation. No creepy witches at ringside. My favorite is afterwards, after they left, where I said, "Hey, Orange, so how are you doing?" He's like, "I'm tired, Renee." That was it.
I'm tired, Renee.
I'm tired.
No
JLB again this week because I don't know reasons. He doesn't actually explain why anymore. He just says no. He's going through some stuff. It's fine.
That's the legit reason we weren't here. You did a Ren Fair this weekend and walked 19 million miles, which is way more than the 500 the Pretenders said that you needed.
Yeah, I tell you what, I walked like 2 Pretenders songs.
And I have been moving my business, so several 300 to 400 pound desk, and moving my girlfriend, and planting.
We're not going to talk about poundage there.
Her stuff.
Oh, okay. We're still not going to talk about poundage though.
No, well,
it's unwise.
I mean, there's furniture, so let's just say I hurt. For 11 days straight, I've been moving stuff.
Hurt myself this weekend.
This 11 days.
To see if I still hurt. Anyways, a lot of interesting stuff to talk about.
Yeah, this was a great week in wrestling.
Really interesting stuff that is kind of like speculative stuff right now to talk about, and then other good stuff to talk about in the actual thing. So I want to start with the speculative stuff because it's exciting to me, but it's also nothing set in stone at the moment, at least as far as we know. And that is the rumored new deal that AEW may have signed with Warner Media. And I say rumors.
Collision, because Collision's happening, bud.
Collision's happening. No, maybe you didn't see this. The reports are that on Wednesday, in fact, it's not even a report. Yes, everyone gift that right now. It's not even a report, right? It's happening. Tony Khan announced last week that this week he's going to have potentially the biggest announcement in AEW history.
You mean 3 pay-per-views in 3 weeks?
Well, the biggest thing is here's where things line up. This week is also Warner Media upfronts. I mentioned this before. Upfronts are
50
when
years, I think, right? Warner Media has been together for 50 years.
Something like that. But upfronts are a different thing. Upfronts are a thing that they do every year. Every cable company, every television company does upfronts. It's when they announce new shows. It's when they announce new deals or things like that. They announce their new schedule for the next season, right? And all their big press announcements usually happen at upfronts, right? For instance, a few years ago for Fox upfronts, that's when the official announcement of the SmackDown deal for Fox was announced, was at Fox upfronts. There's an aside to this right now that this year's Fox upfronts were today, and there was no mention of WWE at them.
Ooh.
So that's a little. We can read a lot into it, or we can read little into it. I don't know. But so later this week, in fact,
It's a
Wednesday,
5-year deal, so they're definitely going to be around next year.
there are opt-out clauses that may be invoked if certain metrics aren't being met. And we don't know what the exact metrics were, but SmackDown has been underperforming as far as we're aware. Like they were expecting SmackDown to get 2 to 2.5 million every week, and there have been a lot of weeks they've gotten 1 million. So,
Yeah.
That being said, again, I'm one of those people who I said it before. I believe we don't read too much into the raw viewership numbers, right? So who knows? This could be a lot of nothing. This could be a big nothing burger that Fox just had so much other stuff to deal with. Also important to note, NBC Universal, their marketing director, the head of their marketing, who was the executive in charge of the upfronts, is the one that Elon Musk just named as the new CEO of Twitter. And when he named her, Warner Media immediately asked her to step down. Not Warner, NBC Universal immediately asked her to step down because you can't have a person being the face of your company announcing the next season and everything who you already know is not going to be there in a month, right?
Correct.
So that could have played into it. Like this whole upfront was reshuffled and re-put together in a matter of a week. So that could have played into it, right? But anyways, Warner Media's upfront, it's their first upfront as Warner Media, is scheduled to be this week. And reports have it that the AEW deal is going to be fully announced at this. And reports have it that AEW's new deal is big, is huge, right? Now, we don't know the exact numbers. There was a number that was thrown out there with an initial report that has since been, like all the other places say, hey, we know it's going to be huge, but we can't corroborate that it's going to be this exact number. But it's going to be huge. The number that was thrown out was 5 years, 200+ million a year. That's a 5-year, $1+ billion deal.
$1 billion deal.
Keep in mind their previous deal, their original deal was a 2-year, $40 million a year that got raised to 2-year, $50 million a year after their first 2 years, right? So right now they're ending their 2-year, $50 million a year deal. So to jump up to $200 million a year is a huge jump up. That being said, part of the reason for the jump up is reportedly that, and we've seen play out already with the canceling of AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, is the movement of all AEW live and streaming events to Warner Media property. Specifically, things like HBO Max, which will soon be rebranded just to Max. So that's the speculation. That's the report, is that AEW is set to announce their new deal on Wednesday, and that it's going to be big. Is it going to be $200 million a year big? I don't know. That's really big. It's really fucking big. But if it is $200 million a year, that's stupid. Even if it's just $100 million a year, though, that's still stupid big, right?
Yes.
That's a 100% increase over the previous deal, period, right?
Well, and a 250% increase in time.
Which goes back to my previous rant the other week about how we can talk about ratings all we want, but is AEW successful? Yes, by all measurable metrics, it's successful because the only metric that really counts is Warner Media happy? Are they going to renew them, right? And if they're going to renew them for more than their previous amount, that's definitely successful. How much more is the question? But here's the deal: they get renewed for 5 years, $200 million a year, right?
That
Their
is
budget.
Fox money.
That is Fox money. That's also that's big deal money in terms of like talent signing, in terms of promotion, in terms of what they can do with their show, production value. We talk about talent signing and we immediately think about wrestlers, but talent signing actually includes behind the scenes talent, right?
Yeah.
It includes production talent, it includes ring crew talent, it includes special effects talent, it includes training talent, it includes booking talent.
So are you telling me Jim Johnson to AEW confirmed?
I think they're pretty set with Mikey Ruckus. I have some issues with Mikey Ruckus's production. I've talked about it before. I think he needs to focus a little bit more on that 5-second recognition.
All I'm saying is Jim Johnson is one of the greatest television composers of history.
Although, oddly enough, a large percentage of the biggest wrestling themes that you remember are actually fucking Jimmy Hart creations. Which I hate to say it. Fucking mouth of the South.
A lot of people pulled double duty, bud.
See what all theme songs Jimmy Hart did. Jimmy Hart was the creator of Sexy Boy.
Just sexy boys.
Jimmy Hart was the creator of the NWO Wolfpack theme. I gotta find some more. There we go. He composed theme songs to Sting, The Rockers, Jimmy Snuka, NWO Wolfpack 3 Count, the theme for WrestleMania 6, which was also used for 7, 8, 9, and 10. Anyways, but my point is, this is big money that they would be able to use for lots of things, including like he could hire booking help, or at the very least script writing help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't write scripts quite like WWE does, but they do write storylines. You know what I mean? And so to have some extra help backstage writing the storylines, an extra $150 million a year goes a long way towards doing that, right? And so if that's the deal, which we don't know, even if it's $100 million a year, it's still a big deal. But I could see it being close to that $200 million a year if the streaming rights are all inclusive, right? Especially if back catalog is part of it. If Max, can flip a switch and suddenly have 5 years or 4 years of AEW streaming back catalog on their service exclusive. That's a big deal for them.
Yeah.
That's a lot of max programming that they just instantly have. And then adding in pay-per-views, special events like that, that's a lot of extra money there. So that's the big deal there. And that's what I wanted to talk about right off the bat. Otherwise, WWE is getting ready for their Saudi event, which I keep getting confused by these Saudi events. I'm not watching, but I keep getting confused because I kept saying that the previous one was in Riyadh and no, it was in Jeddah, and then I thought this one was going to be in. No, I thought it was in Jeddah, and I thought it was going to be in. I thought it was in Riyadh. It was actually, and yeah. So I've been saying this one's in Riyadh, and it turns out this one's in Jeddah. Whatever. I'm still not going to watch it.
Where they are, yeah.
But big thing out of it right now is currently, and things can change. There's still a week and a half before it. Currently, Sami Zayn is scheduled to wrestle at it.
In Saudi Arabia. Syrian heritage.
I am skeptical that he actually will still. I know...
It almost looks like the storyline was written tonight. That they're getting him out of that.
Yeah. I think the storyline is written. I think there's a lot of things. First of all, reports have it that Sami and KO were not told about the Jeddah match beforehand, that they found out when it was announced on TV on SmackDown last week. So that surprised them as well as us. But,
well, and that's how he cut the promo tonight.
Mm-hmm. But I had, while watching his promo tonight and the precursor footage and everything, I had a thought. And obviously, the story that they're telling with Roman right now is Roman doesn't trust the Usos. The Usos can't get the job done. He's going to show the Usos how to get the job done by teaming up with Solo Sikoa. And now I'm going to win those tag belts, and then I'm going to be the champ. And I think,
like your thoughts. I think this weekend, this Friday, the Usos challenge for the titles and win them.
Yeah, I think either this Friday or
next Monday or the following
next Monday or the following Friday. You know, they've got 3 more chances. I think that's what they're going to do. Is the Usos are going to decide to man up and show that they can win them back, and will win the titles back, and then at Night of Champions in Jeddah, it will be the Usos defending against Roman and Solo Sikoa. And this is Roman getting his dogs back on the leash. You know what I mean? Or putting them in their place.
Losing his power.
Or losing his power. But in his mind, this is him putting them in their place. I'm going to show them.
Okay. In his mind, yes.
Yeah. I'm going to show them what really is. I'm going to teach them. So that's what I think is going to happen. And at that point, of course, then Sami isn't wrestling in Saudi Arabia. But as of right now, he's on the card, which is a little bit shocking.
Commendations to the Saudi royal prince if he's given the security level that would be required for a Syrian, a person of Syrian heritage to come to his country.
Well, and reportedly, the relationships between Saudi Arabia and Syria have improved recently. There was a press conference with the Syrian ambassador to Saudi Arabia and one of the members of the Saudi royal family a couple weeks ago. You know, things like that to kind of. I just still don't buy it though. I just don't until it actually happens. I'm gonna have a hard time believing it. So, Otherwise, we did have a match tonight on Raw where the Judgment Day beat
Defeated.
Sammy and MKO in a non-title match.
With lots of interference.
Lots of shenanigans.
That was probably not the high point, though. I would say Ronda and Shayna showing back up was probably...
Ronda and Shayna showing back up was a big deal.
Tonight.
The news had broke earlier in the day that Liv Morgan may have legitimately injured herself last week on SmackDown and therefore could not wrestle in the previously announced tag match versus Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. At which point it was changed into a singles match, Raquel Rodriguez versus Chelsea Green. At which after, while Raquel Rodriguez is celebrating her victory on the ramp, Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey came out and attacked her and beat the crap out of her. Obviously, they're the next in line for the tag belt, or at least
to legitimize the tag titles.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're going to have them win it. The booking's been more intriguing than hey, Ronda and Shayna are just like badasses. It seems like there is something more intriguing going on there.
Last week's Raw, which we talked about on last week's show, had the
last
two
week's
FBI show. Yep, Tuesday night show. Had the two quarterfinal triple threat matches that led to the semifinal singles match between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, which Seth Rollins won. So he's going to Night of Champions as the representative from Raw. When we had done that show, of course, SmackDown had not aired, so we did not know who the SmackDown contender would be. We knew the two triple threat matches were going to be Edge versus Rey Mysterio versus AJ Styles, and Sheamus versus Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory.
And you made a prediction.
And
that prediction was...
I predicted AJ Styles.
Inaccurate.
No,
you predicted Rey.
No, I had predicted Rey the week before based on Finn Balor winning. And then on Tuesday night, after we knew Finn Balor wasn't, right. I was like, but I predicted AJ Styles because we were talking about a Night of Champions. Which way are they going to want to do it? Are they going to want to show?
Well, AJ or Bobby was the
it was going to be AJ or Bobby. That's what we thought it was going to be.
It just didn't make sense to have it be Edge or...
Yeah. Was it going to be the work rate guy versus the monster Bobby Lashley, or was it going to be a work rate match, to show off? And I think both of us kind of agreed that AJ worked the best because he is this is going to be the match that will show off to the Saudi crowd the most what a good modern wrestling match could look like. You know what I mean?
Oh,
with the two work rate people. It's going to be a fire match, right? It's going to be great. I still hope that Seth Rollins is who they put it on. I think that's the right move, and I think that's what they're going for.
It does make, because we are recording this a day late, we do know more information. So it makes me interested, having seen the Corey Graves interview segments tonight, and going, oh, well, yeah, it probably is going to go on Seth. I doubt they'll have segments like that for AJ. They might, to throw a swerve at us, but that really feels like this is where the title's going. So
let's build up the champion a bit. I mean, again, they've still got a week and a half to do that for AJ, so they've got 2 more shows that they could do that. But that's where that's going to go. AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins for the new belt. I'm picking Seth. I think, like you said, the vignettes, the interview, definitely seems to point towards it. I think even just the matchup seems to point forward. AJ Styles, who by no means is like washed up or anything like that,
No, but he
but he
is
is
older
older.
than both of us.
Yeah, and what you would typically say, the phrase gets a bad rap, the phrase past his prime, because it makes it sound like he's out to pasture and
Yeah.
and everything. But it really just means on the curve of performance, his prime was the very peak, and he is somewhere past the peak. He is on the downward slope. He still may be at the top of the downward slope.
Yeah, he's not Ric Flair right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's also, not Austin Theory on his upward climb, or Roman Reigns at the premium of his life.
Yes. Other big news, the reports have come out this week, and I don't want to sensationalize them too much and put too much weight in them, because it was, as far as I can tell, an offhanded remark that caused this. But Cowboy Bob Orton, in an interview, which of course is Randy Orton's father, said that, and I quote, "I think they being his doctors, Randy Orton's doctors, are telling him to not go back to wrestling." And everyone's reporting it that Cowboy Bob Orton says Randy Orton is not coming back. I don't think that's what he said. I think what he said is the old wrestling trope of build it up as if you're not supposed to come back, so when you do come back, it's a bigger deal. Now, he may be saying, don't be surprised if he doesn't come back. But I don't think he was saying he's not coming back. Do you see what I mean? And that's why I don't want to build too much. However, it is important to at least report on it that Cowboy Bob Orton suggested that Randy Orton's injury is bad enough and his recovery from it is not going well enough that his doctors may be telling him that if this is not the end, it's the beginning of the end. And that's sad. Randy Orton, in many ways, from a character standpoint, was right up there at his peak. Physical fitness wise and wrestling skill wise and stuff like that, he may have been past his peak, but character work wise, he was on top of it. So I hope it's not the case. I hope Randy Orton comes back and at least has one final run to get his final glories, because he deserves them. He's been a champion caliber wrestler for a long time, and he deserves to get his roses. So
he is currently the third most decorated superstar of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Behind Flair and
it really wouldn't take much to put him up to second place.
Well, those two are tied at 16 for the official WWE number.
Yeah, well, the official WWE. But my point is, most decorated, you're talking, because to me, most decorated.
World championships.
Most world championships.
Most world championships.
I would argue he's, and I don't have the official stats, but I would bet he's up there in most decorated in terms of overall tag championships, world championships, IC belts, US titles.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And I don't think it would take too much to make him solidly number one. I mean, I'm not saying we give him the world title necessarily. I've never been one to advise for the championship just for the sake of padding the numbers, sort of a thing. But giving him another run with tag belts or with the IC or US title, a short period of that, um, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Heck, you could even if he was able to come back and wrestle at a fairly high caliber, I would be all for him going down to NXT and being the grizzled veteran who comes down to show all these young pups what's really up, and have him make a run with the NXT championship just to round out the belts on his wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, AEW had Orange Cassidy defend against Daniel Garcia in what I thought was a very great match. And Orange Cassidy was able to squeak out a victory. I really mean squeak out a victory. Barely got it out, which led to his comment later where he said, "I'm tired, Renee. I'm tired." But so I think, because what was this, like 22 consecutive victories in his defenses for Orange Cassidy. I think he's had enough victories that someone else winning the Intercontinental belt or international belt wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. You could literally tell the storyline of he is just so worn out from defending this week in, week out.
That's his 22nd victory with it in 17 days.
Yeah. He's just like nonstop.
It's week in and week out.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have lag on your end, or are you lagging on my end?
I'm not seeing the lag here, so I'm guessing it's on your end.
Okay.
But
I was piecing together your conversation, so. But that's okay. We made it through, and you were able to hear me the whole time. So.
But
that was certainly not the best parts of Dynamite.
No, it wasn't. I'm just looking here at Orange Cassidy this year alone. He has, let's see, the 6th, the 18th, so there's 1 week off, 2 weeks off, no weeks off in February, wrestled twice on the 1st of March, no weeks off in March. No weeks off in April. And so far, no weeks off this month. In fact, most weeks he's wrestling twice.
God, he's just so lazy.
Yeah, he's so lazy. But he's wrestling on Dynamite and then Rampage. In April, he wrestled on the 12th in Dynamite, on the 16th in New Japan, and then the 26th back on Dynamite. So he did technically have a week off from Dynamite there, but he didn't have really a full week off of anything there. So he's just wrestling just nonstop. So I think they can tell the storyline of him losing it because he's just finally tired of constantly defending it. Like he's physically exhausted. And so and then someone else can take it. I don't think it will diminish him in any way, shape, or form. And then someone else can have run. I do think it also did help establish this belt, having him just constantly win with it. The big news from Dynamite.
Is that another argument in favor of Not necessarily keeping the title on for somebody for an amount of time, but number of wins.
Number of wins. I've said this before. It's not the length of time someone is champion. It's the number of defenses that builds the belt.
Which allowed
Or
for that
number
movement.
of matches, even if it's an unsuccessful defense, it still builds the belt.
And cheat,
unless it's a schmoz, right? If it's a match and you end up losing the belt to someone else, but the match was still really good, that builds the belt.
Well, I mean, if you're schmozzing and cheating every week, that still builds on that.
But
if you schmoz and cheat every single week, you're gaining something.
But the two other stories that came out of Dynamite was
Miro.
Miro. Okay, that's three. Miro's back. That's one story.
I knew you were forgetting that one. That's why I brought it up.
We still don't know exactly what his story is going to be, but he's back, and so that's an important.
So he's agreed to something with Tony Khan.
Mm-hmm. The other ones were the House of Black match and the Steel Cage match. Those were the two big stories from Dynamite. House of Black match has had their first new House Rules open house match. Of course, that was announced the week before, where they said, here are the rules. 20-second countouts. Disqualifications are heavily enforced, and because you're the challengers, you will get to choose a final stipulation. Which led to the comedy of backstage, Renee Paquette asked Orange Cassidy, what's going to be the stipulation? And he says, tell him, Chuck. And Chuck's like, I don't know. What are we talking about?
What are we going to do a stipulation?
We're going to do stipulation. And they're like, what? When was that a thing? Okay. That Julia Hart chick is really creepy and everything. And so no creepy witches. And so that was the official rule. No creepy witches. But I think it was a really fresh idea. I think this was probably a Malachi Black idea pitched to Tony Khan to do this, to build these.
Well, and I love the fairness. So Raven's rules was always just Raven made up the rules.
Yes.
The house rules, I really love that these are our two stipulations.
You get to choose a third, right? But
disqualifications are strictly enforced,
mm-hmm.
which is a weird thing.
Weird thing to make an actual stipulation. Yeah, I mean, shouldn't they always be enforced? I get it. It's been one of the complaints that we've brought up on this show with AEW since the beginning. They prided themselves on not having any disqualifications from the first year. Plus, the problem is if you don't ever have a disqualification, then the threats of a disqualification lose all meaning. Yes. So there has to be. But there was one other thing. It wasn't strictly listed in the rules, but I think was a very nice touch. The lighting changed. And it wasn't like, ooh, there's
it wasn't like black lights with glowy.
You know, or whatever. It was just the house lights dimmed. The ring lights were still there. And then the Jumbotron and then the lights that went around the arena both had the lightning motif from House of Black's ring entrance going on them. So you kind of had this kind of strobe. It wasn't really a strobe, but when the lightning flashed on that, it got
mild strobe effect.
Sort of a thing. But because the house lights dimmed, you suddenly had this huge spotlight on just the ring. And the stuff that was going on in the ring, which I thought was really kind of cool.
Including the epic beatdown that the Best Friends received.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It was not an epic... Well, yeah, it was pretty epic beatdown. I mean...
Well, part of the problem is... And this is something I think Tony Khan could get better at. And that's timing the matches to the commercial breaks. I know he's a big fan of the picture-in-picture, which I think is a good idea, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is most of this match took place in picture-in-picture. And that's where I think that kind of robbed this match of a little, that for a lot of us, we were watching it in a little tiny picture with no commentary on it. While commercial for Pampers or Huggies or fucking Charmin played. Charmin with the stupid bears. Anyways. But I still thought it was a fun match. And in the end, House of Black retained. And so next week, there will be a new House Rules match. And
I'm excited for it.
And I'm excited. I think it's a new, fresh take on the thing. And then the final was a steel cage match, Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley. That was the main event for the night, and that's where the other storyline comes out.
I do want to make it important that Kenny Omega came out with his uncle in the corner.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Uncle Don was there.
Don Callis, right there at the ringside. You can give your rundown. I was
going to say, the match itself was great. Watch it. It lived up to all the hype.
Lots of blood. I mean, it was their best match so far.
Yeah,
Mox and Kenny.
Ultimately, I think they set out with this match to redeem themselves from the ending of the barbed wire exploding. Because here's the problem.
This was a bloody nightmare. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was the best. I mean, I would hate to see what Necro would have thought of this match because I don't know how he could have dogged on this one.
Oh, he'll dog on it.
So
I'm
good.
sure he dogged on it. I ended up blocking him on Twitter, or else I would show how he dogged.
I understand, bud.
I was just tired of the negativity. So, here's the thing. I think they were trying to win back after the exploding death match because
the ring exploded.
That's the problem is whenever anyone talks about that match, that's all they bring up is the ending.
Yeah,
the rest of the match was fucking good. It had one crappy moment. The problem is that crappy moment was the ultimate climax of the thing.
It's how they went off the air.
And that's where
Jon Moxley must be dead from those 4 M80s.
Yeah.
That went off on the ring post.
Pew, 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 pew. And that's the problem is that match, if you take that last 30 seconds off that match, if they'd have just cut to black and you just watched the match up until that point,
what happened?
People would be talking about how fucking great that match was.
Yeah.
But because of that final, everyone dogs on that match. And they put it, I've literally seen it in lists with the Kennel from Hell match. And I'm like, guys, this was nowhere near the Kennel from Hell match, right? This was a really good match that had a bad end.
But
this match,
the Kennel from Hell is the ultimate in booking botches.
Mm-hmm.
This is the ultimate in promotional botches. We're promoting the idea that this thing's gonna explode.
Well, the problem, what it was, the ultimate in was not actually either of those. It was in hiring botches, right? Because what it came down to is the people they hired to do the pyrotechnics changed things at the last minute without telling anyone how they changed them. And the changes didn't go off right. And so instead of being what they expected it to be, it ended up being pop, pop, pop.
Oh, there was so much heat.
Yeah. And that ultimately, yes, shit rolls downhill. It ultimately lands on Tony Khan. But it really, the pyrotechnics crew is at fault for it, and everything. But that's they're just keep trying to, and that's what this match was to try to outdo and get that old match out of our heads and show us
it did for me.
I think it did a great,
incredible match.
I was legitimately worried for Kenny Omega's knee after that V trigger through the cage.
His knee? What about his mouth after the choking with the wire?
The knee was the big one because here was the thing: the choking was a worked choking thing that I saw, and I'm like, oh, that's sick and everything. But I knew it was something. But the knee, because when he did the V trigger through the cage wall, he landed and one leg went beside the ring, down by the cage, and the other leg went out and he went like this, and that's how you tear an ACL. And he immediately Kenny Omega was on the outside holding his knee like.
I'm so proud of you for your medical description of how you tear an ACL.
because
Yeah,
when
you could mess up your knee pretty good. He does wear braces under his tights though. So
he doesn't wear metal braces, he wears the standard knee brace things. And
maybe
again,
you don't wear metal braces now.
This one here, some of it's the way AEW does their cage different than WWE, but the AEW cage has a horizontal beam, a horizontal bar at cage level, right? And so when he went like this, there's the floor of the mat, the ring, and then here's the cage here. There's a bar right here. And this part of the cage fell out, right, and broke out. But this metal bar here was still there. And when his leg went down by that metal bar and caught in between the ring and the metal bar, but his momentum kept him forward, I legitimately thought he had hurt himself. I legitimately did. Well, you want me to grab an action figure? Here, I'll do it with Superman.
It's so much fun to watch you scissor yourself.
So when Kenny Omega did the V trigger, right,
with Black Superman,
his leg came down here, right, and this is how you tear an ACL, right, like that.
Yeah, I wasn't disagreeing.
Let me grab my Kenny Omega thing.
The illustrations are fantastic.
Where's my Kenny Omega?
So anyway, we get to the end of the match, and this is where the big thing happens.
So shortly after that, they get back in the ring. Jon Moxley grabs the screwdriver that apparently has become his go-to weapon, right? The entire match, by the way, Bryan Danielson is on commentary and having a ball with it. But Jon Moxley grabs the thing and is gonna go hit Kenny Omega in the head. And Don Callis, Uncle Don, comes in and stops him from hitting Kenny Omega in the head with the thing. So you're like, oh, Uncle Don saving Kenny Omega, right? It's all great.
Heel bullshit.
Kenny Omega then hits the one-winged angel on Jon Moxley, goes for the pin. 1, 2. Don Callis takes him out with the screwdriver, turns on Kenny Omega in the ring and attacks him with the screwdriver to help Jon Moxley win the match.
And then tries to help Kenny later.
Well,
he gives him kind of a kiss of death. The same thing that Moxley did to the camera earlier with the foreshadowing. So.
Yeah. So the big thing that now on commentary they kept showing Bryan Danielson shocked at what happened. I'm sure he was shocked.
Is Don Callis? So the question I have for you is Don Callis the new William Regal?
I don't know if he's going to be part of Blackpool Combat Club.
Because they were a respected club and they have gone to pure heel.
Mm-hmm.
Pure heel. With the exception of Bryan Danielson, who you kind of go, maybe
until about a week ago, he was kind of walking the line, but he delivered a pretty solid heel promo about a week ago. So I think he's heel now. I think they're all heel. I just don't know if Don Callis fits in the Blackpool Combat Club. You know what I mean?
Maybe not on the Blackpool Combat Club part, but on the heel dirty tactics part. Mm-hmm. It opens the window for what we can only assume is about to be the cleaner. You also have Kenny Omega now kind of with a dazed and confused look of who do I trust if I can't trust Don Callis?
Well, the real question I
is-
actually have is Takeshita.
Yeah.
Because
I think
Takeshita was recruited by Don Callis. Takeshita came in and saved Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks from Blackpool Combat Club. And was offered to join Blackpool Combat Club and turned them down. But now, with this whole Don Callis thing, is where does Takeshita fit on this? Is he gonna go heel with Don Callis? I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for heel Takeshita, but it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna hear from Don Callis on Dynamite this week, so that's definitely gonna happen. Rampage caught me off guard because I had forgotten that the NBA ruins everything, and this was actually the NHL. The NHL ruins everything. And delayed them to Saturday night. So I on Friday night, fortunately for me, it got delayed because I was out on Friday night. I had a niece who was graduating from college. So I was going to her graduation and then coming home and all that stuff. And then I was exhausted. So I went to bed. But it was actually on Saturday. It featured the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass versus Kip Sabian and Butcher and Blade, which was just another match to put over the Acclaimed. It featured Swerve Strickland, Brian Cage versus John Silver and Alex Reynolds, which was actually a lot more competitive of a match than I expected it to be. The Guns came out and gave a promo. Damn, they both got punchable faces. Tony Storm took on Allison Kay. Fucking Austin Gunn with his one single horizontal braid in the front really makes me want to punch him. And then Action Andretti versus Kyle Fletcher from Aussie Open, which really is Kyle Fletcher attacked Orange Cassidy last week, and so he wants a shot at the international belt. So, but it was a good show all in all. But it was on a different night, which probably led to stupid bad ratings because anytime you move a show from its regular night to another night, it gets bad rating. But it was a good week in wrestling all in all. I liked pretty much everything. I'm excited for this week. Specifically the announcement that should be coming in a couple days for AEW, what their new deal is going to look like. And then the rest of the build up for Night of Champions to answer some things here. So I'm going to open a pack because I actually have a pack to open. Actually, I've got a bunch of packs, so I'm probably going to open a bunch of packs. But I just want to see what I have.
I'm going to switch hats and take myself off screen.
Okay. So, first card in the pack, Dominic Mysterio, back when he was still with Ray. Trying to
So
be
it's
Baby
not
Ray.
Condom.
Yeah. He's not hard yet. A standard X-Pac. A standard issue Chronicles Macho Man. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did I tell you I got my set of Macho Man shirt?
I didn't. You did not.
Yeah,
Hope he likes it.
He doesn't.
Doesn't know Macho Man very much.
Yeah, he's a little embarrassed to wear it to school. He wore his NWO Wolfpack shirt like it was going out of style because there was a wolf on it. But that is.
We need to find him a good, stream of like Macho versus Steamboat or something. A sweet bronze level Chronicles Jim Neidhart. A stupid cool Elite Series Cactus Jack Bang Bang.
That is really cool for Cactus Jack.
Blair Davenport.
Who?
And Where's My Lighter?
Yeah.
Jerry Lawler.
Why do you say, where's my lighter?
So I can burn that card.
I thought there was something Jerry Lawler did again this week. I was like, oh, Lord, now what?
Nope, I just want to burn that card. Let's move to the next pack. We have Shelton Benjamin.
I thought he was going to perform better tonight.
Yeah. I don't know if I've gotten a Cody Rhodes Chronicles yet. I'm gonna have to check. But a Cody Rhodes.
That's pretty cool. Oh.
A standard level Chronicles of Braun Breaker.
Oh no, wrong Braun.
A bronze authentic memorabilia that doesn't have any memorabilia of Gigi Dolan.
If it had memorabilia, I'd pay you for it.
If it had memorabilia, you wouldn't have enough money. I know you probably would. Who am I kidding? I'm poor.
I pay for sniffs.
An XR of Ronda Rousey.
No, the Chronicles. No, those aren't the unique holograms. Those are the ones where there's several different types of holograms. I'm trying to remember what those were that I had.
No, those are. I still haven't spotted any of those.
Those were the Revolution.
Yeah, I still haven't spotted any of those. So, a Origins Brie Bella, and an authentic Liv Morgan.
Well, it's like you got a women's series there. That's fun.
I always pick up a pack and then have to fight with my brain because my brain will say things like, "Oh, this feels like a thick pack," and I'm like, "I don't think it's a thick pack, brain. Nope, pretty sure it's a thick pack."
Well, not in the Chronicles. Chronicles doesn't do like camera pieces or anything like that.
I did open a Chronicles once that had like 9 cards in it instead of the standard 7. So
well, that's fun.
So I did have a thick card, a thick pack one, a standard Chronicles Mr. T. I don't think I got one of those before. So a standard Chronicle The Rock, who reports are coming out now, may actually be in the newest Fast and Furious movie that comes out.
Well, he also had other reports that maybe he's no longer with Disney.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. A Origins Axiom. He's still related with Disney and somehow because they just announced a live-action Moana that he's playing something in. That he's playing Moana or Maui in.
Not Moana, Maui
in, yes.
He'd make a really awkward-looking Moana.
I would pay to see it. I would do it. A Black Series Carmelo Hayes.
That's a cool card.
Yeah.
With the title. Is that a 23?
No, that's the North American title.
North American, okay.
Yeah, back when he was that. A Rookie Stars Dakota Lyons. I'm pretty sure I've already.
Boy, her fire has kind of slowed down, hasn't it?
She got injured. She's out with. I think she's another one of those ACL, MCL injuries.
Well, when you do the splits across people's bodies,
mm-hmm.
it has a tendency to do that.
I mean, it's not like she did a V trigger out of a cage. And do you need me to do the diagram again?
I just with your fingers though, especially while describing Nikita Lyons. Let's just see you do that.
and not make it dirty for our clientele.
I cannot do that.
Okay, fair enough.
Let's see what it specifically says. Yeah, knee injury. Torn ACL and meniscus. It was revealed in January. So
Sounds like a blast from the side.
yeah. See if it even says in this.
Where do you think she would be in the replace Indy Hartwell hunt? If now there's an interesting storyline that may emerge in the Way family. Looks like they were trying to pick up Nikki Cross as a member of the Way tonight, but more importantly, it may emerge that Indy Hartwell has had a women's championship and Candice LeRae has not.
Mm-hmm. They can always play that card.
So that's a back pocket card.
The Nikki Cross and Candice LeRae thing has been going on for a few months, and so I don't know if this is directly with them trying to get her in the Way or just them continuing that story. I don't know.
A friendship development.
Season ticket, Charlotte Flair.
Ugh.
And another copy of Odyssey Jones.
That'll go in your duplicate pile.
It sure will. Standard Chronicles. Alexa Bliss. Standard Chronicles. Commander Aziz, who's now back to whatever.
Dabakato,
that's it. A Standard Chronicles Captain Lou Albano.
That's a cool card.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you found a Cyndi Lauper to go along with it.
Yeah.
And a Wendy Richter.
The sweetest card I've gotten in a long time. A Sweet Phoenix series, which are the Hollow series. Eddie Guerrero.
That is so cool.
That is a sick card.
That is very refractive, too.
Mm-hmm. An XR series of Bobby Lashley.
That's a sweet looking card, too. We may have to sit down and do some trades sometime.
Mm-hmm. An Origin Damian Priest. It'd be interesting if we sat down together with between our two sets, if we were able to make two complete sets. You know what I mean?
Know.
Like with your extras and my extras.
I don't think we could because, like, I have a Andre on a particular one that I don't think I've seen you get an Andre yet of anything.
Yeah, and I'm more thinking just the Standard Chronicles. I want to do a complete set of those. That's the main one. I don't think either of us will ever get a complete set of the others without just continuing to buy. Like the authentic ones, I know I've already got a Solo Sikoa. I've already got probably 2 or 3 Solo Sikoas. So, a Standard Chronicles, not with the company anymore, Mandy Rose. A Standard Chronicles, he's not very famous, but his older brother, Elias, is Ezekiel. A Sweet Optics. Let me tell you something, Mean Gene.
I would have loved if Hogan would have ever cut a promo like that. Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. Let me tell you something, Mean Gene.
A really sweet looking card of an absolute nobody. A Bodie Hayward, but it is a bronze certified.
Ooh.
A playoff of a no longer with WWE Roderick Strong.
Looks like he's doing the butt drums that New Day does there. I know that's not what's being attempted there, but
A NXT 2.0 Valentina Feroz. I think that's a duplicate.
yeah.
And I know this is a duplicate, but I always like to see it. A Macho Man Randy Savage.
Good looking card. Oh yeah, I like that card.
And my last pack for the night. A standard Chronicles Ultimate Warrior.
Sorry about that.
It'll complete the set. A standard Chronicles Ronda Rousey. A sweet Bronze Chronicles D'Lo Brown.
The human bobblehead.
I swear I think he's got an extra vertebrae in his neck or something, because
It was like it's like, can you imagine that amount of head movement on like a Merton Hanks? You remember Merton Hanks from the San Francisco 49ers? Really skinny neck, long neck, and that helmet, just bobblehead.
yeah, I don't, but anyways,
But if I say so.
Sweet Gigi Dolan. What is this one called? Icon series. Gigi Dolan. A playoff Kofi Kingston.
Playoffs.
An NXT 2.0 Brooks Jensen. And then a duplicate that I've had multiple times before, The Undertaker. Oh, so that was a good set. Those
were fun.
There were some really good cards in that set, though. I'm excited for some of those. That Gigi Dolan at the end was actually really good, too.
Do you ever feel like WWE sometimes misses the boat on catching lightning in a bottle? Well, I don't just want to say WWE, wrestling. Like they're waiting to make sure that the lightning in the bottle is going to be lightning instead of just.
No, I know exactly what you see. I think sometimes WWE comes to mind the most because they're the ones I think that it's most visible that they do this. I think they sometimes get in their own head about trying to plan for so-and-so to be big that they miss when some other person could be big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're so busy planning for, to use an example, we've been talking recently about Roman Reigns' run and how he's doing really good as a champion right now, and he's at the top of his game. But it's important to point out that this follows years of us talking about Roman Reigns being pushed down our throats, and that Roman Reigns was just not ready to be the man, right? And there was multiple times during that period that I think we all would agree that there were other stars that could have been to the forefront that didn't get to the forefront because of this push for Roman Reigns to be at the forefront.
And the example I think of in AEW, there wasn't a one of us who didn't want to see Scorpio Sky be the champion right after he had that match with Chris Jericho. Not for an extended amount of time, but I think maybe that's what they were doing back in the day, is they were catching the lightning in the bottle, and then they were going ahead and letting it just be that moment. But I also think that leads to the Vince McMahon style of booking, where, well, tonight we're going to do this thing, and oh, this will be great. We'll change it up tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's a happy medium there, but I just, they missed on Sami Zayn catching lightning in a bottle, and I don't think they can catch that again.
Well,
they could, but it would feel synthetic instead of organic.
To use an example for AEW that I think they're trying their hardest to get back to this, but to catch lightning in a bottle with Sammy Guevara.
Yeah.
I think Sammy Guevara, about a year and a half ago,
was there.
He was one of the top baby faces to the crowds. The crowds loved him.
And they said, well, you and Tainara are dating, so let's...
Yeah, exactly. And then they said, yeah, let's put you and Tainara together on screen. And the crowd went, we don't like that so much. Can we not do that? Boo. And that killed all momentum for them there.
Yeah.
And they never were quite able to get it back.
That's all I'm saying. I just think that I think both promotions missed the lightning in the bottle. Mm-hmm. Even if it's small bottle, don't get me wrong. They caught a vat of lightning with Roman's current run. But they're still powering everything with it, and it's like you better be really close to having this end.
To use my example before, they caught lightning in a bottle. I don't necessarily think we can call Roman's run catching lightning in a bottle, because it was so manufactured.
Yeah.
And because to get to this lightning in a bottle, they ignored a dozen other lightnings in bottles.
Yeah.
Including
Cody Rhodes, which is a manufactured one that's coming.
Yeah. Well, and here's it, like Cody Rhodes. If Cody Rhodes had come in at WrestleMania a year ago when he debuted and immediately won the belt, we all would have been like, I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Right? But if Cody Rhodes hadn't gotten injured and they'd given him the belt at SummerSlam or even Survivor Series,
or wait until WrestleMania with the Money in the Bank cash.
Well, that's what I was going to say. And they did it then. I don't think it would have been lightning in a bottle either. I think WrestleMania was the time to do it. And it was either last WrestleMania when he first debuted, which I don't think was the right move, or this WrestleMania, which I think was the right move, and they didn't do it.
They might be able to pull it off at 40.
Yeah. I just don't think it's lightning in a bottle again. I think when they do it at WrestleMania 40, it's going to come off as
manufactured.
Yeah. Well, this is them playing catch up. But they realized they should have done this last year.
Definitively lightning in a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Definitively.
But like WWE, the reason we can fault WWE for this so many times and so easily is because it's happened repeatedly. And there are a few times that the crowd has helped them out and forced it. Summer of Punk, Summer of Daniel Bryan.
Yep.
Right?
And Kofi.
Kofi Mania, right? Yeah, that's 3 times. But those all came about because of crowd pressure.
And eventually they shit on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they didn't shit on the Daniel Bryan one.
Yeah, when they really...
Because he turned heel, and that was a very organic heel turn. That was very good.
Summer of Punk, I wouldn't even say they shit on, because they told a storyline and Punk was going to be leaving. eventually, anyways.
And
But
and truth be told, two of the best workers in the game in terms of on the mic played that story with Cena and Punk, and you watch the interviews. Cena and Punk have huge amounts of respect for each other, though they are not fans of each other.
well, that's something that is important to remember with this. And there's a connection to modern day professional wrestling that plays into this. Interview came out a while ago, few weeks ago, with Cody Rhodes, where Cody mentioned that him and Seth don't get along backstage. They don't. They just don't like each other. They don't hate each other. They're just not like friends. Like that's not their thing, right? And that's fine, right? They put on fire matches with each other, right? And they were professionals, and they did it, and they rolled on. And if certain members of the AEW roster could just be fucking professionals and roll on, there could be lightning in a bottle happening in AEW. But as of right now, there's not lightning in a bottle in AEW because there are groups of
Egos.
people with egos that will not.
And this is looking at the guy we were excited to see this week, and that's Miro.
Miro's one of them, but because he, the reports were out, he was pitched an idea for a program that would require him to lose to someone that he did not want to lose to. And so he said, no, I'd rather sit out than lose to him. And they said, fine, you can sit out, I guess. I'm not going to force you to do anything. Whatever you want to do, man. Join the club,
Which is an awesome work environment and a shit work environment at the same time. It's not the best thing for the company, and also good for the wrestlers, I suppose.
Well, yeah. I mean, here's the deal: is if you have a work environment, we've all been in work environments where we don't get along with someone, right? Everyone's had it,
Sure.
right? A good work environment would be like, okay, you guys don't get along. Let's just try to minimize your contact with each other as much as possible, right? We'll put you at one location and them at the other location, right? Or we'll put you on morning shifts and him on evening shifts, or you in the front office and him in the back office, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Wrestling doesn't really have that, right? So the other option for wrestling is, okay, you guys don't get along. We'll just try not to book you on the same shows as often as we can. Or just like avoid each other backstage. You don't want to lose to that person? Well, then that becomes a you problem.
Where you are the problem.
Where, you are the problem. And I expect you to figure this out. And when you can figure this out, then you can come back in and work, The other person in this, though, is ironically one of the people who led us into this conversation, CM Punk. CM Punk did not get along great with John Cena in WWE, but he understood for the storyline that it was best for him to work together with this person. CM Punk now
struggles with that.
Does not get along with certain people in AEW. And instead of realizing that what's best for the storyline, he instead doesn't get along with them and won't put up with them. And here's the deal. I'm not saying he's alone in this, right? Reportedly, one of the problems right now is he wants to come back. They want him to come back, but he is still not allowed, for legal reasons, to talk to the other people involved in the storyline. And by storyline, I mean the real story, right? The real fight that happened backstage. So he can't really hash things over with them. They can't really hash things over with him yet, because something else needs to happen first. So AEW is uh, investigating what they need to do to be able to bring CM Punk back and still have a show without these groups crossing paths as much as possible. Um, I think it's a recipe for disaster to not have them sit and hash it out face to face. I think, regardless of the legal implications of things, there should be.
I think there's this is gonna sound greedy, but I really think that there's just a certain amount of once your number of digits breaks 6 or 7, which would be all professional wrestlers on AEW or WWE, there's a certain amount of play by the rules, regardless of how you feel, that you kind of have to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care what an individual's politics are. I care about the results of their politics in wrestling. So I don't care how much you're upset with the other person, that i.e. politicking. And this goes to Shawn Michaels, who won the politicking battle, and is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. You play with the other guy. You just have to. There's too much money involved for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying is like, yeah, CM Punk, and I get it. Like, reportedly, lawyers are involved, and the lawyers are saying, "Hey, don't talk to each other, until something or something," right? And I'm saying that those lawyers need to get together and say, "Hey, this is not what's best for the business. We need to work this out for the business," right?
Yes.
And so if that first takes lawyers getting together and working out, for lack of a better term, like custody schedule, a temporary custody schedule, whatever. What I really think would be in best interest of the business would be lawyers getting together and working out a way that the players could get together. You know what I mean? Because I think if CM Punk sat in the same room with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, face to face, at a table in a calm environment, put Hangman Page in there too. Even though he wasn't involved in the fight, he was involved in the issues, right? And they all just sat down and talked about it in mediation. Have the AEW lawyer, have CM Punk's lawyer there, Heck, if the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega want to have their own lawyer, have that person there. Have all of the lawyers involved, all of this stuff, but just sit down and talk face to face and be like, "Hey, man," because every single person who reported on the problems between CM Punk and the Young Bucks stated that the Young Bucks were not their source. Every single one of them stated that Kenny Omega was not their source.
Yeah.
Right? CM Punk thinks that Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks were their source. Great. I get it. think that's your source, but I'm telling you that they're not. And now we got to work through this. We got to figure out what we need to do next.
We got to play together, however we can play together.
Yeah. How can we
for
play together?
all of us to win.
Yeah, to make us all rich, right? How do we make us all lots of money, right? And now would be the perfect time. Tony Khan stand there and say, "Listen, CM Punk, do you like money? Okay, great. Young Bucks, do you like money? Kenny Omega, do you like money?"
We're talking about generational wealth. We're not talking about retirement, early retirement wealth, which is good wealth. Mm-hmm. We're talking considerably beyond that. We're talking your children may not ever have to work wealth.
Ultimately, all of you people, I want you to listen right now. Hangman, do you like money? Because we're about to get $200 million a year to put on a show. And the only way we can put on this show is if we all fucking work together and stop this fucking schoolyard bullshit. Right? Oh, he picked me last. Or, oh, he said something mean about me. Fucking get over with it.
And it does make you think, maybe you guys weren't bullied. Because those of us who were understand that, you know what, you gotta let go. You gotta like, that person was a douchebag. And they're not worth your time. So maybe you guys weren't bullied at all when you were kids. And I'm not saying bullying's good. Bullying's shit. But sometimes there is a certain amount of character that develops from learning to just walk away from the mean kid.
I never got to walk away from the mean kid. The mean kid always walked away when I was laying bloody on the ground. So,
I'm sorry, buddy.
So I don't know. I don't have that skill.
I wasn't trying to.
However,
bleed.
Well, it happened. But
dude, I was joking when I said I wasn't trying to make you bleed. I never made you bleed.
You never made me bleed.
Just broke your nose.
Blink twice if you're lying.
Too many blinks. Anyway, I just there is a certain amount of grow the f up is that you just I sincerely want to look at them and be like, you guys realize that I make really good money, and you guys make minimum 10 times what I do.
Mm-hmm. And again, we are at a moment where there is the opportunity coming up in a very, very short period of time for them
having
to
all those names involved would be a lot easier way to get all that money.
For them to make lots of money, right? An absolutely obscene amount of money.
Because all of them are marquee names. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them. The weakest of them is a former AEW champion, and that's Kenny Omega. Or not, that's Hangman Page. Mm-hmm. He's the least draw of all those people.
I mean, here's the deal. We mentioned last week how it's looking very, very likely that the Wembley show will be considered a sellout, right? There's last that we saw, there were less than 1,000 seats available, although there are some reports now that suggest that there might be more than that. Either way, they've sold well over 60,000 and potentially close to 70,000 seats to Wembley Stadium right now. And they did that without a single match being announced. Can you imagine the ticket sales if they'd announced a CM Punk versus Kenny Omega match?
Coming off the fire that was.
Coming off of all of this stuff. Can you imagine the fucking money they can make off of this? Like, I don't want to harp too much on money. That's not my thing, right? I'm more of a, if you can get yourself comfortable in life and all of that stuff. Take care of yourself,
Absolutely.
take
Yeah.
care of others and everything. But if I had a chance right now to be a part of something and make $50 million, right, I would do it. Like every once in a while, one of those memes comes along on Facebook, right, and it's like,
Would you live with
would
your
you,
siblings in this house for a year?
for a year?
Dude,
That
it doesn't even have to be that nice a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes my favorites are would you punch your mom in the face for $1 billion? And I'll go, a billion, a billion with a B, billion. You better believe it, right?
You
I
you
could
have
give my mom $100 million apology and still be fucking
well, and
rich
not to
as
mention they didn't even specify how hard you have to punch.
yeah.
But barring that, say you know you have to go full out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
So
gonna have a conversation with my mom beforehand.
uh, you can give your mom $100 million apology and still have $900 million, still be one of the wealthiest people in America.
Yep. Oh, and
Like,
never have to work again.
never
And
have to
your
work in.
mom's grandkids never have to work again.
Yeah. You could take that $1 billion and buy not one, not two, but three, four, or maybe even five private islands to live the rest of your life on if you wanted to, right? Just for you. Just a place for you to hang out, right? Oh, you also want your wife and your kids to have their own islands? Sure. $1 billion, you could buy them islands too, right? Your whole fucking family could have their own islands in the Caribbean, and you'd still barely make a scratch in that $1 billion. I mean, I don't think you understand. You can buy a full island in the Caymans for like $6 million, right? That's a drop in the hat for $1 billion,
You know, if
right?
you're okay with the creepy things, not okay with the creepy things that happen there, if you're okay with living somewhere where creepy things happened, you could buy what's his bucket's house, island, as soon as it's done being investigated. um,
I hear
and
it's already got a landing strip.
I would assume it'd have to, wouldn't it?
That was a joke about the private flights.
Oh, I don't know. That dude was a creep. But anyways, a well-furnished island
Yes,
already.
a billion, right? I don't think people understand how big a billion is, right? Um,
Well, a very well-to-do person would have to work 1,000 years. 1,000 years at $1 million a year to make $1 billion. They'd have to work 10,000 years at $100,000 a year to have $1 billion. It's a long time, a lot of money. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? What are you looking at?
I'm doing math really quickly.
You can provide every single American with $3, with $1 billion.
For $1 billion, you could give someone almost $2,000 every minute of every day for a full year and just barely break $1 billion.
Every minute of every day.
Yes. Every minute of every day. Which, if you're not a theater kid, you might need to look up how many minutes there are in a year. But if you're a theater kid, you know it's 525,600 minutes. And every theater kid out there listening now has a song stuck in their head?
I don't have that song stuck in my head.
You weren't a theater kid.
No, but I do know that there's 84,600 seconds in a day. I'm sorry, 86,400 seconds in a day.
525,600 minutes.
What's the musical, bud?
It's called Rent. I actually hate it. I hate it so much. It is one of the banes of my existence. But it was very, very popular at one point.
So was Cats. Which you thought was going to be some deep, thoughtful thing and not a story about cats. Turns out...
Nope, story about cats.
It's a story about cats.
I could have told you that. So, in a total side note from this talking, first of all, back to the point, if someone offers you $1 billion to do almost anything, you fucking do it, right? Right. You can spend $1 million on mouthwash and be fine. That's all I'm saying.
My sisters shared the meme about shooting a sibling with a firearm for a Hellcat.
Yes.
And I said, make it a flesh wound and we got a deal.
Dude, ultimately, man, if you have to put me in the hospital for a short period of time, right, I'll take it, right?
And you get $100,000 something out of it?
Yeah.
We're good.
Yep. Just just try to miss the vitals, right?
Yeah.
I'll
even push the fat to the side so you can do that.
Yeah, fuck, man. You can hit me if you need to hit me in some place like semi-vital. I got 2 kidneys, man. I can survive with one, right?
We need to be right outside the hospital so we can quickly get things taken care of.
Just, but there's a thought. This is totally not wrestling related, but a thought that came to my mind over the weekend, which is sort of related when we talk about crowd sizes and everything, right? Last weekend, Philadelphia hosted a 3-night Taylor Swift concert series, right?
Okay.
They hosted it in the stadium that the Philadelphia Eagles play in, which for concerts seats 70,000 people. It was sold out for 3 nights straight. So that's 21,000 people.
210,000
right?
people.
210,000 people, sorry. 210,000 people, right? Outside the stadium, on the street, each night was approximately 20,000 people who could not get tickets to the concerts, but still showed up to stand outside where they could hear the music, and they set up TV screens so they could watch from outside, right? So that's another 60,000 people, right? So that's 270,000 people showed up for Taylor Swift concert in Philadelphia, right? Taylor Swift is currently 33 years old. She turns 34 at the end of this year in December. That means she turns 35 in December of 2024. Which means she would be over the age of 35 by Inauguration Day in 2025.
If she can get
270,000 people
in Philadelphia,
she
could win Pennsylvania.
I am convinced that Taylor Swift could announce candidacy right now, not even fucking have a platform, right?
I'm Taylor Swift and I'm running
for Taylor Swift. I want to be president, right? and she'd fucking win, right? But then the thought process was, who do you put as her running mate to help her win? Because here's the thing: you have to put someone that aligns with her in some way, so as not to piss off any of her fans, but also brings in more fans from a different area, right?
I think Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
Rock the Dwayne Johnson's not a bad choice. Rock the Dwayne is as a side choice. I came up with a choice that I think is better.
Okay.
My coworker brought up Miley Cyrus, which I don't think is a bad choice, except Miley Cyrus is currently only 30 years old. Which I didn't see exactly when her birthday was this year. But that means at most she could be 32 by Inauguration Day. And while there isn't a constitutional age requirement for vice president listed,
the assumption is
that it's the same as for president because you're first in line of secession, right?
Correct.
So it's never been tested. We don't know whether someone under the age of 35 can be vice president. That would have to go to the Supreme Court. You know, they'd have to go and be like, founding fathers didn't write this shit down.
I can't become president, so I suppose no.
Maybe no. Yes, no. So Miley's out, I think, right? Rock the Dwayne Johnson is definitely a good choice. He fits all the categories. My choice, the one that I think, Dolly Parton.
That certainly picks up a segment of audience.
It picks up a segment that is not in the Taylor Swift group, right? But it also isn't going to piss off Taylor. I don't know any Taylor Swift fan who would be like, Dolly Parton, I'm out now.
I do know some who would be like, who the fuck's that?
Yeah, some people might not know her. But I don't know anyone who doesn't like Dolly. And I'm being serious here. Dolly's been fairly outspoken in some of her politics of late. And I don't know anyone who doesn't like Dolly. Right? I know a lot of people who don't like country music, but they love Dolly. So I think a Swift Parton ticket could landslide win. Fucking landslide it.
Herein lies the problem. Now, Dolly Parton is fairly well close to retired. I mean, she does occasionally do some duets with people and whatnot.
She's got an album coming out this year, bro, with 30 songs on it.
That said, it would be a financial loss to become president or vice president for them.
Both of them would take losses in that. I agree there. I'm still for it though, man. Here's the deal, right? It would be a financial loss if they followed the previous established guidelines of divesting from financial incomes and yada yada yada. Except we've recently had a president who did not do any of that shit, and made a fortune while being president, right? So fuck it. There's now an established precedent that you don't have to do that shit, so might as well. But
what a strange conversation we have.
Have you heard of Dolly's new album?
Huh.
Dolly Parton has a new album coming out later this year. Comes out in November. There's a story behind it. Dolly Parton was nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last year. She said,
I'm a country star.
I'm a country star. I'm not a rock star. I shouldn't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They said, "Oh no, you belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, even though you're a country star." And she's like, "The thing is, I'm a country star. I'm not a rock and roll."
So she's
singer."
making a rock. She's Chris Gainesing it up, or Chris. What was it that Garth Brooks did? Was it Chris
Gaines. Yep.
Chris Gainesing it up.
Sort of. But instead of announcing an alter ego that's a rock star and all that stuff, she's releasing an album as Dolly Parton called Rockstar. It features 30 songs on it.
Some of her greatest hits just in rock format.
A couple of them but most of them are actually covers of actual rock songs, right? Let me read you some of these, right? Oh, by the way, she also called up like all of her famous friends and said, "Hey, you want to be on an album with me?"
Let's do a duet.
So she's got an original song called Rockstar with Richie Sambora from Bon Jovi.
Why not? Yeah.
She's got a song called World on Fire. That's an original song by herself. She's got Every Breath You Take by The Police.
With Sting.
Because why not? She's got Open Arms by Journey.
Which is like the only way that the rest of the Police allowed Sting to record Every Breath You Take with his permission again.
Mm-hmm. Most likely. They do Open Arms by Journey.
Thanks for the follow there.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. That's a bunch of letters and
probably
a couple numbers.
Thanks for the follow, bot.
Yep. We appreciate the bot follow.
DJ, oh my gosh. This might really be a person.
She's got Open Arms.
Not a bot.
Steve Perry.
DJ tells us that he's not a bot. Thanks for the follow, DJ.
Well, we appreciate that, not a bot, DJ. Open Arms by Journey, featuring Steve Perry of Journey. Magic Man by Heart, featuring Ann Wilson from Heart. Oh, also the Heart guitarist Howard Leese.
Side note, one of my friends in the auto industry happens to have a van formerly owned by Ann Wilson for sale right now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
As Long as I Can See the Light by CCR, featuring John Fogerty. Either or, an original song, but why not have Kid Rock help you sing it? I Want You Back, also an original song, but, while you're doing it, you can have Steven Tyler singing it with you, and Warren Haynes from the Allman Brothers on guitar. What Has Rock and Roll Ever Done for You? That's another original song, but it's written by Stevie Nicks, and might as well have Stevie Nicks come and help you sing it. A cover of Purple Rain. She could not have Prince come and sing it for obvious reasons.
So instead she chose...
She didn't choose anyone. She just does it by herself at this point. Baby, I Love Your Way by Peter Frampton. So who else better to come and help you out on Baby, I Love Your Way than Peter Frampton? I Hate Myself for Loving You by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. So might as well bring all of Joan Jett and the Blackhearts together for it. Bob Seger's Night Moves. Not with Bob Seger, unfortunately. Instead, she brings in current country superstar Chris Stapleton. Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus with Miley Cyrus. I Can't Get No Satisfaction. But instead of bringing in Mick Jagger or Keith Richards, she brings in Pink and Brandi Carlile. Keep On Lovin' You by REO Speedwagon, featuring Kevin Cronin from REO Speedwagon.
Speedwagon.
Heart of Glass by Blondie, featuring Debbie Harry of Blondie.
Debbie Harry's still alive?
Yep. Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me by Elton John. So why the fuck not have Elton John join you? Right?
Sir Elton John.
Sir Elton John. Tried to Rock and Roll Me, an original song. So might as well have Melissa Etheridge come and join you. You're going to do Stairway to Heaven? Well, sure. Why not have Lizzo come and join you on it?
I thought for sure you were going to say, what the hell's his name? The former lead, Steve.
Yeah.
God, man.
Lizzo. Just bring on Lizzo.
Okay.
We Are the Champions. By herself, she does it.
Mostly because Freddie's not available.
Mm-hmm.
But Brian May on the guitar would be awesome.
Brian May on guitar would be awesome. Bygones, an original song. So why not have Rob Halford from Judas Priest, Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue, and John 5 from Marilyn Manson join you on that? An original song called Blue Tears. So why not have Simon Le Bon from Duran Duran join you on this one? Makes sense, right? You're No Good, originally performed by Dee Dee Warwick. No, let's have Emmylou Harrison, Sheryl Crow on it. Pat Benatar's Heartbreaker? Sure, let's get Pat Benatar on it. Let's bring in her guitarist, Neil Girardo, on it too.
How likable of a human being are you that you can get all these people to just be like, yeah, you can have our song. Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do it for you. Yeah, let's do it. An original song called Bittersweet. So who else better to join her than Michael McDonald? I Dreamed About Elvis. Let's bring Roddy McDowell and the Jordanaires on there. Here are the last two songs. Can't finish out a song where you want to be a rock star without having Let It Be by the Beatles featuring Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and special guest Peter Frampton and Mick Fleetwood.
I wonder if the two Frampton songs are going to have the guitar vocals, the guitar managed vocals.
I bet you they are.
I mean, you kind of have to have Frampton, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, she's reunited Fleetwood Mac with Stevie Nicks.
Yeah. But you can't end this album without fucking Freebird featuring Ronnie Van Zant, Gary Rossington, and Artemis Pyle, who was Ian Leonard Skinner, as well as the Artemis Pyle Band. Fucking like 30 tracks, 30 fucking. This would be a quadruple record if it was on vinyl, right? She's just like, I'll throw it all out there. It's fine, right? If they're gonna put me in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I better be a rock star. Now, the only thing that I would change is that title track called Rockstar with Richie Sambora, which currently appears to be a written for this song. I would 100% change that to Nickelback's Rockstar because
if you're gonna do it right.
If you're gonna do it, man, I want to hear Dolly Parton, because we all just want to be big rock stars living in top castles driving 15 cars.
Sincerest apologies, DJ, that we are talking about
not wrestling.
At all wrestling.
This is the ADHD portion of our show.
We should get into Friday night though, because
when my brain goes. Zew.
There was a couple promos. The one that opened the night, where Jimmy got shoved in the face, which was kind of interesting. I feel like Solo's the one who's turning. Do you?
I've always kind of felt that. But now, storyline wise, to me, it makes more sense storyline wise
For Jimmy
for
and Jay to turn.
Jimmy and Jay to turn. That the story that they tell is they finally broke free of the.
I want to know. I mean, do you get the feeling that Paul Heyman is totally a marionette right now? Just
No, I don't.
why?
I get the feeling the other way. I get the feeling that things are getting away from him. That he thinks he's the marionette, but he doesn't realize that things are getting away from him.
Okay.
Like that he thinks he's pushing Roman and Roman's going to bring the Usos back under his wing and he's going to show them what for and why they need to be, with him in the bloodline. They need to get in line and behave, and that it's all going to come crashing down on him. Like we said earlier, I still, until the day of Night of the Champions, which for us will be Day of the Champions. That's also tough. Anyways, until that, I still think it's going to be Usos as champions. I think that's the story to tell. Is the Usos win back the belts over the next week and a half? It could even be the best time for them to do it would be the SmackDown right before, right?
Yeah.
It's all signed. It's all this stuff. They win back the belt, and then they go to Roman and say, "See, now you don't have to have this match. We did it. We brought the belts back." And Roman's like, "I'm still going to show you what for. You still have to learn who the tribal chief is here."
Well, I mean, the way he was about them dedicating their match to him, which we knew. I mean, we called that before it happened. At the end of the day, that's. Yep, he's gonna say, "I am the tribal chief," and you guys went and did that without me, so now you have to have a title match. The bright side is you can just lay down for me, and they don't do it.
Nope, they don't.
I do feel like there is a portion of the collapse that starts, not that actually rears its head in this next pay-per-view in some way, shape, or form. Sorry,
Yeah.
Premium Live Event.
Yeah, PLE, because that makes so much sense.
But other than that, on that same night, we had the less intriguing storyline telling of the two triple threats.
Mm-hmm.
We all went, why isn't Drew involved? Because Drew was drafted but hasn't been seen since.
Yeah. There's backstage reports that his contract is up soon and that they are at an impasse on
His valuations.
working out a deal with him. That he thinks he deserves more. I agree. I think he deserves more.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he did carry them through COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was actually one of the biggest shames in my mind is that Roman Reigns
were both robbed by COVID.
Yeah,
Now,
carried the
Asuka's
belts through
about to
COVID.
get that redeemed to her.
Quite possibly.
Oh, that was another thing that happened on Monday when she spit in Bianca's face. But
Because Bianca was not ready for Asuka.
To spit. Rampage was good, not as good as Dynamite.
Mm-hmm. But it was on Saturday, so no one watched it.
That's why I waited.
Nobody watched it.
Yeah,
I didn't even watch it live because I totally forgot it was on Saturday.
Viewership is tough on Saturdays.
Well, here's the problem is Rampage is having a hard time getting regular viewerships, mostly because they keep getting fucking shifted. Like,
Yeah.
how are you going to expect to get like
Well, and
repeat
where
regular viewership when every couple of months you're just taken off of your main night and just thrown onto
where do they shift their viewership when
when they have Collision already
in
on
play?
Saturday nights?
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting. Well, like most of the time they don't shift it to Saturday; they just put it later on Friday. But for this, they didn't.
They have twice shifted it to Saturday though.
Yeah, but
Recently.
twice they have. You're right.
And maybe that's just to test the waters for viewership on Saturdays, but it's not a fair test.
No, because it's a one-off instead of a regular show.
Correct.
Um,
I think they're good for 500,000 on a Saturday, which is still really good in the 18 to 24 market segment being their primary goal. Or 18 to 49, sorry.
did they release AEW ratings for Rampage?
I also thought Riddle was going to win tonight, but that's a different story.
Let's see. That's not the one I want. The latest.
Ratings aren't already out from Saturday, are they?
I think they came out earlier today, but I'm not seeing it. So maybe they didn't.
There are millions of $1 bills that aren't getting spent by Nielsen now that they can do it all digitally.
Oh, that's going to be all sorts of fun. AEW Rampage to air on Saturday at midnight ahead of Double or Nothing.
Why?
Because of the ongoing NBA and NHL finals. It's been shifted to either earlier Friday or later on Saturdays. And on that one, it's going to be shifted all the way to midnight. And I'm sure that's midnight Eastern, so it'd be 11 o'clock our time. But still.
On Saturday.
That's, of course, Memorial Day weekend.
Well, viewership's low there anyways.
Eep.
I don't think DJ stuck around to hear her talk about Dolly Parton's album.
Yeah, I feel our Dolly Parton talk chased him off.
I mean, nice guy, though. Really was a nice guy, even though he looked like a bot.
Yeah, totally not a bot, though. I mean, I'm not going to point out that that's exactly what a bot would say.
A bot wouldn't know that we were talking about whether or not he was a bot in real time.
AI is amazing. AI can parse speech. My phone can live transcribe whatever it's listening to live within seconds of it being said. AI can parse what it's being said and throw it back. Most of the time, when you're on chat with your cell phone carrier, you're on chat with a bot. Probably 90% of the time, it's a bot.
Well, fortunately, I don't chat with my cell phone carrier very
They
often.
will. They will almost always be a bot until you push hard enough, and then they'll be like, "Okay,
Let me get you with a representative." I've had that, just not with my cell phone carrier.
Cell phone carriers, car dealerships, cable companies.
Wait, you mean Melissa at that local car dealership isn't real? There's a photo of her, though.
Melissa may be real. You're just not talking to her. You know, the internet's wild. I search for AEW Rampage because I'm trying to see if their ratings are out yet. I'm just scrolling through the latest posts, and from 7 hours ago, from a Twitter account named Armpit Central, there's a post that's just Tony Storm's armpits from AEW Rampage, May 5th, May 13th, 2023.
Fetishes are so weird.
And it also is linking to a previous post of theirs from yesterday. That's Anna Jay's armpits from AEW Rampage, April 28th, 2023.
Fetishes are weird.
Like, I guess I'm not going to yuck anyone's yum, but
I will. Fetishes are weird.
whatever, man. I'm just...
Armpits?
Armpits, yeah.
What is that weirder than feet?
I don't know.
Like, I don't know. Neither of them.
I don't know
really
either. Here's the question, right? I don't even care whether it's weirder than. I just need to know what they pay, right?
What do armpits pay?
Because like if armpits pay better because it's a bigger niche, then fuck, I'll start taking photos of my armpits. I don't care, man.
Would you shave them for it?
Sure, no problem.
It's kind of like that $1 billion thing.
Yeah, you act like I haven't shaved my armpits before.
I have. It's
I've done it.
utterly convenient in the summertime.
It super is. It 100% is. Deodorant works better.
Yep. In particular, if you use antiperspirant.
Antiperspirant deodorant specifically, yes. But it works better. You sweat less.
Much cooler feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't think that the small amount of hair in an armpit would be enough to overheat you as much as it does, but it really does.
Yeah, I'm doing a heartbeat.
In particular,
but ultimately, I've got a thing with my feet. My feet are ugly. I have some issues with my feet. I'm never going to start a foot site. But man, if I can make some extra money selling armpit photos, man, I'll do it. Man, no problem.
When did you become Boom Hour, man?
Man, I'll do it. Man, game over, man. Man, their internet there, www. Click there and you're there, man. Click there and you're there, man. Click there, click, man. Porn, man. It's that easy, man. Porn.
Yeah, I really think Boom Hour's porn discovery was actually better than Quagmire's, and Quagmire's was very good. The forearm, the Popeye forearm. Anyway. So I think we've
I want to be clear here. Anna Jay and Tony Storm's armpits they're fine. They're as good looking as any other armpits I've ever seen. Right? I'm not putting anything against their armpits. I don't get it, but
in terms of a fella, I hate to say this, but Triple H had amazing armpits.
I don't know. I'll have to find. Should I be that guy who's got Triple H armpits in his Google search history?
Yes, you should.
There's not a dedicated site for them, but there are lots of pictures. A surprisingly large number of them crop at the armpits there.
Because it's a really popular look. Man's spray tan is on point. On point. You know what I just realized? I don't have very many Chronicles.
Chronic What Cools of Narnia. Oh, sorry.
I have a lot more Topps Finest and stuff like that.
But what was I going to say? What was I going to say? I was going to say something. We can probably start to wrap things up because we've been over 2 hours. But I did want to mention one other thing Maybe something that we can talk about on a future show. I did spot something that I think AEW is missing that they used to do a lot.
Okay.
And I think it played into why AEW doesn't feel as exciting now as it did at one point. And that
Go on.
is uh big appearances by their big name stars on indie scene. Right. Now, don't get me wrong, John Moxley continues to wrestle the indies, right? At a lesser rate, but he still wrestles the indies. But what made me think of this was uh last weekend there was a Create a Pro Wrestling uh pay-per-view event, whatever you want to call it. Create a Pro famously is the New York-based wrestling academy that was the home to um, MJF in his training.
Okay.
Its head trainers is Brian Myers
Okay.
and Pat Buck. Pat Buck, who works for AEW now, by the way. Brian Myers, who wrestles for Impact Wrestling. But they had their monthly Create a Pro Homecoming show. Create a Pro Homecoming featured Raven at it, Brian Myers, Angelina Love, Bear Bronson, who now wrestles as Dirty Bulk Bronson because they made them get rid of Bear Country. Stupid. And a bunch of others, including one of their stars, and I can't remember his name right now. I gotta find it. Anyways, after a match, one of their stars came out and delivered a promo where he proclaimed that they should all bow down to him because he's vegan. And because I'm vegan, I'm better than you. And you know it.
Oh, really?
And then, guess whose music hit?
MJF.
Sure enough, MJF comes out and wrestles a match against Leo Sparrow. That was the name of the wrestler that said that. Wrestles a match against Leo Sparrow. And wins. But not like not in a way that buried Leo Sparrow so much. He actually won in a double Eddie Guerrero. I'm officially labeling it that. MJF bumped the referee. Leo Sparrow grabbed a chair. While the referee was clearing his eyes out and everything, Leo Sparrow smacks the chair on the ground, so it makes a big sound, tosses it to MJF, and then falls on the ground, right? That's the first Eddie Guerrero. MJF grabs the chair, pauses for a second, looks at the ref, opens the chair, puts it over his head around his neck, then drops to the ground, makes a big noise on the ground. Just in time for the referee to turn around and look and see MJF with the chair around his head as Leo Sparrow is getting up to try to get it off of him. So he out Eddie Guerrero'd Leo Sparrow.
I like it.
And then while the referee was trying to do that, he low blows Leo Sparrow, and so. But here's my point: this felt like a really big deal. Those fans at Create a Pro, to them, it felt like a really big deal, right? And I thought back to the first year of AEW and how often the Young Bucks would just show up at a wrestling event. They didn't even wrestle. Sometimes they would just show up, super
Just
kick
cut
a
a
couple
promo.
people, cut a promo, and then leave, right? Sometimes they would show up and sign one of their young stars, right? Or their referee. That's how Bryce Renberg got signed. Was at a indie event. They showed up and they offered him a contract there. Right. Now I'm not saying they have to start going and signing a bunch of people, but I just remember how exciting it was as a wrestling fan, knowing that at any independent show, there was a chance that these stars from AEW could just show up. Right. Did they show up at every independent show? No. By all means they didn't. But they did show up occasionally, right? And I think on that, I think to myself, when was the last time that the Young Bucks wrestled outside of AEW? And I'm looking it up now to see if I can find it. April 30th, 2022, they wrestled at Triple Mania. Right?
So over a year ago.
Over a year ago. And that's not even like what I would call an indie. That's AAA Triple Mania. So let's go back and see. They were part of the Jera Cruise in early 2020. House of Glory Wrestling, High Intensity, August 9th, 2019. This was right at the beginning of AEW. Right? They showed up. I think that's a big deal, them doing that. And that's when they wrestled. There were other appearances after that where they showed up but didn't wrestle, right? I think it would do them a lot of good, AEW as a whole, if they went back to that. I'm going to call it guerrilla wrestling, guerrilla promotion tactics, where they just would occasionally someone, and it doesn't have to be big names, like super big names. Wardlow can show up somewhere. Fuck, Sammy Guevara showing up. Yeah, Sammy Guevara showing up at something. Jungle Boy showing up at something. Sean Spears showing up at a place could be a big deal. The Best Friends showing up someplace could be a big deal. The Dark Order. In fact, I think that would be a really good storyline for the Dark Order, to have them start appearing at indie shows, attempting to recruit members for the Dark Order.
I like it.
And then you'd be like, I'm going to go to this Magnum wrestling show in Nebraska, right? But there's a chance, maybe, that someone from AEW might just show up at it, right? It gives this excitement and all that. And when they do, the free publicity that you get from all of us marks, I include myself in this, all of us marks posting the video up on fucking Twitter and TikTok. Look what happened right now. Oh my goodness. AEW wrestlers, the Dark Order, showed up at this wrestling show to try to recruit Bones McGee and someone else. I don't know.
Bones McGee.
I'm just making up names.
I gathered that.
That really happened.
Bones McGee?
I don't know. Now I got to Google if there's actually someone who wrestles as
No,
Bones McGee.
you don't. We can close it out, bud.
Apparently, Bones McGee is a nickname to Leonard Bones McCoy, from Star Trek. I never knew that.
When you're a
reference to
Trekkie.
him. And I'm a Trekkie. I'm more a Trekker. Like, I'm big into Trek, but I'm not like big into Trek. I'm definitely a Whovian. Anyways, we'll wrap things up here. I don't know if DJ's still hanging out. Probably not. He said he's going to change his name to a not a bot name. I'll believe it when I see it, DJ. If that's indeed your real name.
It's not.
Giving it a chance to type something, but he's not. Okay. On that note, we're going to go ahead and close the book on the wrestling booking unit. We will be back tomorrow, as long as everything goes according to plan, to do our weekly game night where we have fun. Maybe we'll have JLB for it. I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? It'll be a mystery. So. Sure, it'd be nice. I like 3-person games better than 2-person games. And we need to find an alternate. And we need to find an alternate.
Still not appropriate for that's what she said.
Mm. Yeah, and maybe I prefer 3-person games. Doesn't really. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it was kind of funny, right? Kind of, no,
not really. Not. Anyways, but on that note, we're gonna go ahead and close the book. You can like, share, and subscribe. Or just follow us on twitch.tv/Raw and Order WBU. Subscribe to us on YouTube. You can find me on YouTube at Raw and Order WBU there. You can follow me on all of the social medias at Raw and Order WBU, except Facebook, where it's at Pissant Podcast. Reasons it's weird. I know. You can support us by also going to our merch store, which is down in the doobly-doos, where you can buy cool things like the shirt that's right over there, right? It comes with no signatures on it, and then you get your own signatures for it, or all sorts of other fun stuff there. You can follow DA Fabe at...
You know, I'm all about the boom. Damn, I was way off.
Yeah.
I had to clear over here.
Yes, DA
Fabe right on Twitter.
You can also support us by sharing this with your friends. You can support us by subscribing to us with Amazon Prime or, with Cold Hard Cash. You can send us bits. You can send us tips. The links for all of that are in our info on twitch.tv/Raw and Order WBU. But on that note, we're going to go ahead and close the book. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you soon.
Bye.